I've found myself in various job opportunity roles. So, you know, I do stand-up comedy, I present a DJ and XYZ. But prior to that, you know, I was living the two worlds of, well, this is just an aspiration, so I need an office
Mhm.
job and going down that path. And one thing that always stood out to me, and one thing that is really prevalent in my stand-up comedy, you know, I've been raised by a single mother, and like the strong women that have been in my life that have helped build the backbone that I have to be the man that I am today. And I always put that on wax and give the credit where it's deserved. And I always look to try portray that in my comedy and my material, to know through humor, but the strength of what I've received through my life. But
Mm,
one area where I always felt that there was a discrepancy between the male work world and the female work world is that if a young lad with a bit of chat, charisma came through, the older heads would bring him through and say, he's got something about him, you know, he's not a threat, we're
mm,
going to bring him through. And when it was split the other side, and not stereotyping, but when it was put with the side of the females, it was more like, she's a rival, we've got to hold her back. Or
mm.
have you seen that, or is it, again, is it something that's changing across the spectrum? I mean, that's only my opinion. You know, it might not be accurate to everybody else's, but I definitely felt like there was a lot more standoffish nature, whereas now it does seem like there's a bit more of a collective, a bit more of a sisterhood. So has there, from your own experience, been a lot more support from peers within your industry?
I would say personally, from my experience in TV, there's not a lot of brown girls who look like me. That's just point blank period. Like, let's not beat around the bush about it. Particularly in presenting, TV presenting, there may be a lot in, I'd say, America, but particularly in the UK, there's not a lot of prominent TV presenters that you kind of see on those mainstream TV shows who look like me. So yeah, there can be a bit of tokenism in terms of you kind of feeling like the only one representing for everybody. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of work to do around that in terms of pulling a lot more diverse talent through. But in terms of like sisterhood, I have personally found my own sisterhood working in the TV industry. And there are not loads, but there are a lot more melanin sisters like myself than you think.
Melanin.
And we do support each other. I've got a lovely set of industry sisters. We call ourselves Sister FM. And honestly, these girls work across news. Some of them are producers, directors, production coordinators, script editors. Like, there's an array of different job titles that we all hold, and we really do hold each other down. And honestly, if it wasn't for having that tight knit niche community, I think half of the time I probably just lost my mind in TV, because I was saying to my parents the other day, like, I am like one of the first people in my family to be in corporate. So we don't have a template to follow. We are
Mm.
literally trying to figure this ish out as we go along. You know, there's nothing that my parents could have told me that could have warned me for corporate. I've had to learn everything just by trial and error. I've had to learn what microaggressions are, what passive aggressiveness is. I've had to learn so much, and I was just like, well, I didn't know more me. But it's been an interesting journey, and one thing I can say, it's made me a lot more thick-skinned. Oh my gosh. The TC who people know now, I would say 5 years ago when I first came into this industry, that was not me. I used to literally, if someone even said boo to me at work, I'd just be crying. I'd be in the toilet crying out my little eyes. Whereas now, I know how to stand my ground. I know how to politely but firmly say, don't speak to me like that, because
You
I'm
know,
not the one.
you know how to play. You know how to play the game in the sense of the
Exactly.
responses. Like, passive aggressiveness is the worst for me. I was trying to explain it to a friend, and even coming up with an example was difficult enough. But you just know when it's happening, and you're like, "Oh, we're going through that again." But
Yeah.
is it something where you got a thick skin, but you still remain with an open heart? Because you definitely seem a good optimist here.
you have to just kind of take things, you know, you have to. I think working in TV has definitely made me more open-minded. It's allowed me to work with different types of people, experience different characters, and you really kind of just have to take people at face value until, you know,
Yeah.
they prove you otherwise, because not everyone is the same. And there's been some phenomenal people who have been key gatekeepers in just opening the door for my next career opportunity. Um, you know, I worked with an amazing guy, and he actually recommended me for a promotion. So it's just like there's so many different people, and you just kind of have to be open-minded about it. You can't tarnish every single person, no matter how they look or who they are, with the same brush. You just can't live life like that. It's very tempting because of what you see in the media. The media is very good at kind of building up a lot of anger, especially in our community, to kind of say, oh, this group can't stand us. But you really just have to take individuals for who they are.
Where are you from originally?
From
I
Birmingham,
could
bruh!
tell. I thought you were. And what are you living in Manchester now then?
No, no. So I used to work in Manchester for 2 years. I worked in children's TV there, but now I'm back in Brum.
Okay, fair. So are you still involved with the Beeb?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm currently at BBC Three.
So how are you? So because you've got Media City in Manchester, and then you've got
Yeah.
London. So are you just commuting back and forth then?
No, no. So I'm currently just based in Birmingham at the moment. I used to work in Manchester, I think from 2016 to 2018, and then I moved back to Brum. And since then, I've just been working in Brum for BBC Three. So, yeah, we move around a lot in our industry. Like, no one ever stays in one place,
So
really.
is BBC Three based in Birmingham then?
Yeah, so
I
we're
never
based in
knew that.
Birmingham and we're based in London as well.
What how would you describe your role then?
Every time I say to people I'm a development researcher, it just doesn't even make sense.
Can I have a
So
guess? Can I
basically,
have a guess?
yeah, go for it. What do you
Right.
think a development research is?
So I guess you scour the internet or you scour culture for people that you think have an ability to then develop to then create content for the BBC. That is what I would guess a development researcher is.
You kind of had some elements in there. So basically, my job is to come up with TV show ideas and online content ideas for BBC Three.
That's the best
Literally.
job ever.
The best of, thank
That's
you.
better than going out and going, ooh, look, I've just found them. They might be good at that. You're like, well, me cat just tried to chase a fly. That could make 5 minutes of TV, which it really could. I swear, if you're ever short of an idea, just get a cat and a fly, and it's the best screensaver ever. But no, that is such a cool job. That's such a cool job.
It is. I mean, not to brag, but I actually feel like I have the coolest job ever. I do.
How
It's a privilege.
how do you find your inspiration for ideas? Do you find a particular formula with people that you work with and how they may fit in, or do you just think that's a cool idea, let's run with that? Like it's such a wide world of what you could create.
Let me tell you something. TV development is such a niche department in TV, and there is no formula. Absolutely no formula. You can get inspiration from anything, whether it be a conversation, a picture, uh, someone's life story, like anything. It could be a sentence or a phrase or a trending word, like anything. You've got to be so open-minded because the world is your oyster and you cannot afford to be limited. But it is very brain taxing sometimes. Like sometimes you can just have an overflow of different ideas, and then you can kind of just have like dry spells where it's just like can't think of anything. So yeah.
Do you try keep topical with certain stuff, or is that quite a dangerous, not dangerous, but a more reserved road to go down because that could dry up and then you're like, okay, what do we do
I think
now?
both. I think you have to. So my job is to always constantly know and be on top of trends and what's going on in terms of what talent is popping right now, what trends are popping right now. But also, you have to learn to be a leader. You cannot be afraid to be the first to do something, because sometimes you have to kind of know how to navigate the difference between what people want and what they don't know that they actually
Yeah,
need yet.
yeah.
Like, have you ever watched something and you've been like, I wasn't actually looking for this, but I find it thoroughly entertaining?
Can I tell you who it is, right? On Instagram, the person who brings me the most joy is this Asian gentleman called USP or something like that. It's UESP and then loads of eyes. And it's just
Oh,
this. The way I describe it, it's going to sound.
I want to check him out.
No, honestly, right? Like, he's just. In fact, I'm not even going to tell you what he does. Just go on his page. I'll send you it after and just watch. But he brings laughter to life all the time. But you couldn't even make up what he does. You couldn't even make it up to be like, oh, yeah. But if you were to say, everyone watch this, you'd be like, no. But I know if the more people saw him, they'd be like, wow. You just bring so much light to my life with just how daft he is. Like, he's such a cool guy, such a cool guy. But I suppose it must be like that then. But then is it a matter of getting people to create the content that you make, or is it a lot more, I suppose, with it being online, is it less script-based, written, produced actual shows because you're looking for more of a vlogger style in front of the camera, hitting while it's fresh?
So I work in unscripted development, so it's more like your fact and shows. I don't do anything scripted. Yeah, I mean, if you've seen BBC Three content, like, it's very just kind of raw. That's the only way I can describe it. So yeah, we do. Gosh, I forgot what the question was. I'm talking and thinking, am I even making sense?
No, I did go on a long tangent, but that's my thing. I might as well be called Ben Tangent, not Ben Random. But no, it was how you get people that create, how you find people that deliver the content for you. Like, is it more done? Yeah.
So yeah, the content, a lot of the content that we create is in-house, and then we also have independent companies, and indies are all over the UK, and like they will make content for BBC as well. So it's both.
You know, when I think of BBC Three and I think of the Mighty Boosh, I think of people just do nothing. I think of, like the shows that have been, you know what I'm saying, like incredible shows. But now that the main TV shows sort of not there, I don't know if they're, like, when I go on iPlayer, it never really breaks down if it's BBC Three or BBC One or anything like that when I'm looking at particular shows. So are you able to reach out to any of them? Are you able to reach out to like MC Grinder and be like, hey mate, do you want to like do a commentary over this cat catching this fly? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, how are you able to draw in from existing people that have been on BBC Three?
Not me personally. I mean, we have like obviously casting producers and talent people that have more close contact with those people. My area is strictly development. It might go into production, so being on shoot, being on location, but in terms of like that talent, I don't have access to them.
Could that be difficult though, coming up with an idea and then passing it over to somebody that completely runs with it? Like, do you have to be
I get this question all the time.
Yeah, you must. Like, do you have to be so specific with the notes that you give, but then you clearly, like, do you not even get a sign off on it? Like, say, like, you've given them an idea, but they're running with it, and then does it come back to you and you're like, it's what I wanted, or no, I want to tweak it, or do they just take your idea and just embellish it how they want?
If you work in development, you cannot be precious about anything. Like, development is literally, you create an idea, you come up with it, and you literally hand it over.
Wow.
You can give obviously your opinions and your feedback on, like, if the idea goes out, like, you can give your insight into how you think it can be improved or what can make it better. But yeah, you literally just hand it over, but you can't be precious about it. You really can't be. It's not how it works.
with you being a presenter, do you ever try come up with concepts that have you involved in the project, so then you're a bit more gun-ho with how it's going to operate because you're actually in the project?
Not for BBC Three. I very much just concentrate on my role as a development researcher. I feel like I'm really privileged in the fact that I've had experience in front of the camera and behind. It's not something a lot of people have. Some people usually do either one or the other. So when I'm in a role, I just concentrate on that role. Like when I worked in children's, I did both. I did presenting and work behind the camera at the same time. But for BBC Three, it's just my development researcher role, and that's what I focus on. My role is to make sure I find the best talent and put them forward. So I kind of just have to take myself out the picture. You know, it's not about me. It's about making sure that I find other amazing people out there who just want to get their break. And for someone who has done presenting, I get it. I get that there's people out there who just who want to be seen or need to be seen or deserve to be seen, because there's so much noise on social media. And sometimes if you haven't necessarily got the biggest following, you can sometimes get overlooked. But for me, it's not about numbers. It's about quality over quantity. You can have millions of followers, but no substance, or nothing unique about you. And you can have 200 followers and be the funniest person alive. Do you know what I mean? So
I know exactly what you mean, mate. I got teared up then. It was like you were describing me.
Oh, definitely. I personally, I can't speak for anyone else. When I'm looking for people, it's definitely quality over quantity, 100%.
Do you find then when you were doing your, and I respect that, and I agree, it is quality. I think like a lot of people look at a quick hit, and it's not about that, man. Like I sometimes get frustrated, or despondent's a better word. I don't think frustration's good in any creative form to sort of like digest that energy, but despondent in how people who maybe excel in a way that is akin to getting likes. Basically, they're in a format, they might be on a reality TV show doing something like that, and then they step in a presenting world and they're not a natural presenter, they're not giving the skills of a presenter, but they're taking up the position of a presenter because they have that popularity. And it can get a bit despondent and a bit discouraging. But I think I'm like you, really. Like, I know why I'm in this game. I know what I want to offer, and like it ain't. Again, in the chat, a couple of chats before, I said one of my favourite metaphors or quotes is from a ancient philosopher called Lao Tzu, and he said that if you have a candle and you light another candle, it doesn't mean that yours goes out. So everyone can still like shine. It doesn't, and something like that really like resonates with me, because I do think it's easy for people to go, they've just come off that reality TV show, we'll get them for 6 months, but we'll never see him again. And whereas you could get someone to develop them, and before you know it, you're 3-4 years in, there's a proper solid base there. And I don't know, I just think sometimes people go for the fad rather than the substance. But anyway, that's enough of a rant about that. But
no, I hear you 100%. I think it depends at the angle that you're looking at it from. You can literally take someone who has like a seed of potential, and for me as a development researcher, it's more fun to actually nurture that person to greatness,
I see
rather than kind of take someone who's kind of already ready-made. It's a bit boring. I think as a natural content creator, as a creative, it's more fun to actually nurture someone and just watch them grow and kind of be like, yeah, I did that.
No, I see that. I was speaking with Stephanie Hurst, like a DJ who used to work on like a Yorkshire radio station, and then really well known through like the radio industry. And we were on. Pardon?
I said, okay.
No, yeah, real cool person, proper OG in the game. And we were on about Rylan. Now, I don't know if you know Rylan.
Yeah, I know.
So Rylan's the perfect example, right? He was on Big Brother. He went on to be for me, as a presenter, he's a sick presenter. Like, so if you was a developer working with him, I get it, because you saw he had a spark. He's a sick presenter. Now he's a great host on radio too, and it's like there's no beef with that. There's no like, you know, you saw it, you nurtured it. He's now a presenter. He's not just a
Yeah.
reality TV star lending his hand at something that, you know, so I do see the potential in that. I just think that there's a lot more opportunity for the people in those circles to be nurtured rather than people who've been doing it a long time to get those spots. And I suppose it comes down to opportunity in the roles that are there. You know, there's only a limited amount of shows that can be made, and I think that's why a strong tool is online. I think like a strong tool is to be able to get that following, or not even following, but just your content out there on a
Yeah.
particular platform so people can engage and draw into it. But
Yeah.
sorry, go on.
No, I was just gonna say, to be honest, like a lot of it is about your network as well. Like, I'm not going to pretend and sit here and say, you know, it's just because I worked very hard, you know. And yeah, you can work hard and you can keep working hard and keep working hard. But at the same time, when you have key gatekeepers in those spaces who can recommend you or open doors for you, that does help. And I think people just need to be more honest about how they actually got where they got to, because no one's self-made. Do you know what I mean? Everyone has had help at some point, and I would be lying if I sat here and said, oh yeah, I worked hard and got into TV present and that's it. No, that wasn't it. I spoke to someone who spoke to someone who spoke to someone plus working hard.
I
Do you know what
respect
I
that.
mean?
I respect that.